Chosen ones, the truth behind your ageless glow people don't want you to know. Welcome to the Chosen Bloom. This is more than a channel, it's a sanctuary for the awakened. If you're here, you're not lost. You're being called. They told you time was your enemy, a thief of youth, a countdown to decay. But what if time wasn't a curse but a cloak? A divine disguise that protected your becoming. Sit with that for a moment. Because chosen ones, there's a reason people can't stop looking at you like they just witnessed a crack in the matrix. There's a reason they whisper, like you're walking around with the formula to something forbidden. You don't look your age. You don't act it. Truthfully, you don't even feel it. And that's no accident, it's intentional. It's written. Consider this, your body is made of 37.2 trillion cells. And every one of them has tasted betrayal, isolation, spiritual warfare, heartbreak. You've been through what would shatter most, yet you shine. Not just surviving, but radiating. Grounded. Glowing. While your peers are surrendering to stress lines, joint pain, and midlife disillusionment, you're over here breaking the mold, leaving people confused like, what serum is this? What sorcery? The twist. It's not skincare. It's soul care. It's not genetics, it's grace. You've been drinking from a different fountain, one of healing, hydration, and Holy Ghost upgrades. So let's go deeper. This isn't about vanity. It's about revelation. In this video, we're unpacking why your presence makes people question the rules they thought were absolute about time, beauty, and what it means to be preserved by something higher. Get ready. Because your reflection isn't defying time. It's exposing truth. It's revealing the mystery of who you really are beneath the years, beyond the mirror. If you've ever felt like time couldn't touch you the way it touches others, comment 444 and let the world know you're not aging, you're ascending. And if this already resonated to you, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell for notification. Let us walk this spiritual journey with you. Now let's begin. Number 1, you reverse biological decay through spiritual alignment. While the world chases youth by fixing the surface, creams, injections, filters, facades, you did something different. You didn't decorate your body. You healed your soul. You didn't chase image. You chased wholeness. And that shift, it recalibrated every system inside of you. Spirit first, body second. While others tried to paint over pain, you transmuted it. That's why your glow isn't cosmetic, it's cosmic. Your cells, your skin, your energy, they're not just hanging on, they're vibrating at a frequency most people can't comprehend. That's why they stare. Why their brains scramble trying to match your face with your age, and the math keeps failing. They're looking at someone who's lived yet radiates like they're just stepping into their prime. It short-circuits logic because it was never meant to be logical. It's spiritual. You tapped into a realm most people dismiss as fantasy, yet the evidence is undeniable. It's etched into your presence. It pulses through your aura. You don't just look good for your age. You look unbothered by time. Untouched by the wear and tear that life usually leaves behind. Not because you avoided hardship, but because you alchemized it. You walked through fire, but you didn't let it scar your essence. You chose healing over hiding. You faced your shadows instead of masking them. And that inner restoration, it sent a signal to your body, we're safe now. And when the soul feels safe, the body stops breaking down. It starts building back up. What they're witnessing isn't luck, it's alignment. And that glow, it's rare. Not because it's unreachable, but because so few ever dare to do the inner work to get there. Most people exhaust themselves chasing approval, perfection, noise. But you got quiet. You got still. You turned inward. And what you found wasn't just peace, it was divine timing. That's why you don't age like the world does. You're not dancing to the clock that steals, you're aligned with the rhythm that restores. Your years don't drain you, they deepen you. They don't fade your beauty, they refine it. Because this kind of beauty doesn't wrinkle, doesn't dull, doesn't expire. It evolves. Number 2, you mastered emotional alchemy. That's why you don't wear trauma on your face. Most people do, whether they're aware of it or not. It's visible in their posture, in the way their gaze avoids connection, in the tightness of their jaw, the heaviness behind their smile. Years of repressed pain etched into their expression like scars carved by time. Trauma doesn't just echo in the mind, it embeds itself into the body. It hides in the shoulders, in the gut, in the lines around the eyes. But you, chosen one, refused to let it take root. You endured a level of pain that should have etched itself into your very frame. You were lied to, manipulated, abandoned in some cases, shattered beyond recognition. And yet, you didn't store that pain. You transformed it. You alchemized it. That's why you don't wear it. While others hardened into bitterness, you chose to feel. You didn't bury your grief in distractions, you faced it head on. You cried when no one else saw. You screamed into silence. You prayed with your entire being. That kind of emotional honesty. It's rare. And it's what saved you. You didn't collapse into numbness, you softened into strength. And that softness, that vulnerability, it became your power. You became radically honest with yourself. You let truth enter the places where lies once lived. And that transparency didn't just heal your emotions, it rewired your nervous system. It calmed your face, softened your skin, redefined your presence. That's why people are stunned. They expect to see bitterness etched into your features, but instead, they see peace. They see clarity, and they don't know how to process it. Because most have never seen someone your age look so emotionally light. They expect heaviness. They expect damage. They look for the marks trauma should have left. But you did the work. You metabolized the past instead of hoarding it. You let go instead of holding on. That glow people can't stop commenting on. It's not what you added. It's what you released. You could have shut down, grown cold, locked the world out, but you didn't. You chose to keep your heart open, not naive, but awake. And that one choice to remain open without being devoured didn't just protect your spirit. It reprogrammed your biology. That's why you don't look like what you've been through. You didn't age from trauma, you evolved through it. You metabolized pain and converted it into presence. Your very existence is now a silent testimony. Number 3, you stopped time the moment you stopped performing for the matrix. Most people age quickly because they're trapped in a constant performance, dancing for systems that were never built for their peace. Every morning they wake up already behind, already proving, already pleasing. Hustling to meet invisible standards. Performing to be seen. Grinding to feel enough. But you, chosen one, made a different choice, a rare and radical one. You stopped performing. You unplugged from the matrix, not just in theory, but in your spirit. You stopped chasing validation from a world that feeds on illusion and rewards exhaustion. And when you did that, something unexpected happened. Time loosened its grip on you. Aging slowed. Not because you discovered some external secret, but because you reclaimed your energy, the life force you once leaked trying to be what others demanded. All that energy that used to be spent on people-pleasing, image-maintaining, and silent suffering. It came back to you. You stopped pouring yourself into empty connections, shallow competition, and hollow comparisons. That choice to preserve your peace instead of your public persona didn't just renew your mind. It began healing your body. While others wore themselves out trying to be liked, you were choosing solitude over noise, clarity over chaos, and authenticity over applause. And that decision, it didn't just elevate your soul. It reversed your wear. You weren't locked in cycles that erode the spirit, chasing relevance, battling burnout, fighting to be seen. You stopped trying to win a race you never signed up for. You let go of society's version of success, the one tied to image, hustle, and endless proving. And in its place, you chose alignment over performance. An alignment, true, spiritual alignment, doesn't age you. It anchors you. It preserves you. It returns you to the rhythm of your own soul. And because of that sacred choice to unplug, to align, the evidence is now undeniable. Your face looks rested. Your skin speaks calm. Your presence no longer carries the frantic hum of survival. People can't quite explain it, but they feel that you move differently. You feel untouched by the stress they've normalized. What they don't see is the cost of that peace. They don't see the lonely nights, the silent goodbyes, the painful resets you had to walk through. But now the fruit of that sacrifice is showing. You're not aging the way they are because you're not carrying what they carry. You're not weighed down by the same burdens, expectations, or timelines. You escaped the cycle. You rewrote the clock. You reclaimed what was always yours, your time, your energy, your identity. And now it's written across your being, in your eyes, your posture, your stillness. While others burned out trying to be everything for everyone, you stopped running and became one with yourself. And in doing so, you tapped into something divine, not by effort but by embodiment. That's why people stare. That's why they stumble to explain your glow. You don't look like someone who obeyed their script, because you didn't. Number 4, they thought age would be your decline, but it became your ascension portal. They expected you to fade. They assumed that time would dim your light, that your confidence would shrink, your body would betray you, your influence would quietly wither like those who peak young and vanish quietly. That's the story they write for most: shine in your 20s, scramble in your 30s, disappear in your 40s and beyond. But you, chosen one, shattered that narrative. You didn't fade, you sharpened. You didn't shrink, you expanded. With each year, you became more. Not by force, but by release. You stopped performing. You stopped chasing approval. And in that stillness, you unlocked power. The more you stopped seeking outside of yourself, the more your essence rose. Your posture shifted, more rooted. Your voice deepened, more truth. Your presence grew heavier but not burdensome. It became commanding, magnetic, sacred. Because you didn't break down with time, you broke through it. And every year since has been a step not toward decline, but toward destiny. What they never realized is that your youth was never your final form, it was only the blueprint. The sketch. A rough draft of something far more powerful. You weren't built to fade with time. You were built to unfold through it. And now they're witnessing what they thought would be your decline, only to discover they've arrived at your main event. That glow. That grace. That unshakable confidence. It didn't come from serums, applause, or curated routines. It came from survival. from healing wounds that no one saw, from reclaiming your worth without asking anyone to approve of it. They're baffled trying to reconcile how someone who's walked through such depth of pain can still radiate such strength, presence, and poise. But that's the mystery. You didn't age. You ascended. You tapped into levels of beauty, wisdom, and vibrational power that youth simply doesn't carry. These aren't the traits of someone who's never fallen, these are the fruits of someone who's risen. And not once but again and again. This kind of glow is earned in the fire. Forged through rejection. Crowned through rebirth. You were never meant to simply grow older, you were always meant to become. And now that you have, you're not just looking good. You're looking divine. Number 5, you didn't just preserve yourself, you regenerated. See, most people think the goal is to slow aging, to freeze time, to hold on tightly and hope not to lose too much. But not you. You weren't trying to preserve a version of your past. You didn't settle for maintenance. You aimed for transformation. You didn't hold on, you healed forward. You reversed the damage. You rebuilt the parts of yourself that were torn down mentally, emotionally, even biologically. That's the part that's throwing people off. They're not seeing someone who looks good for their age. They're seeing someone who transcended what age even means. They expected wear and tear. They expected the storms to leave marks for your face to carry the evidence, for your eyes to dim, for your posture to sag under the weight of everything you've endured. But instead, you emerged upgraded. As if time didn't steal from you, it paid you back with interest. And here's the truth they'll likely never understand. It wasn't the skincare. It wasn't the gym. It wasn't good genes. It was the solitude. It was those long, silent seasons where everything you thought you needed fell away. Where you were cut off from people, from noise, from plans. Where you questioned if God had forgotten you altogether. While they ran from stillness, you were buried in it. And yes, it nearly broke you. But it didn't. It refined you. It awakened sacred dimensions of your soul that had been sleeping. You didn't just heal emotionally. You initiated deep cellular regeneration, not through physical tools, but through spiritual alignment. See, stress erodes people. Self-abandonment thins their energy, drains their light. But you took the narrow path, the lonely one, and you didn't let it make you bitter. You let it make you holy. You went inward, and there in the stillness you found your power. You reconnected with Source. You redefined your worth. You stripped off every identity the world forced on you, and met the truth of who you really are. And that process, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't loud. It wasn't Instagrammable. It was sacred. And your body noticed. Your cells noticed. Your spirit restructured itself. You didn't just come back wiser. You came back physically transformed. You don't just look good, you look untouched by the chaos you survived. That is what true regeneration looks like. Not a return to your old self, but an ascension into your original design. The version of you that was always there, waiting to be revealed. While others cracked under the pressure, you were being recoded in silence. And now, your presence says everything without you having to say a word. You're not just surviving time, you're rewriting it. Number 6, you refuse to be consumed by bitterness, and it shows. Bitterness ages people more than time ever could. You can see it in their eyes, dulled by resentment. In the heaviness they carry, the tightness in their shoulders, the tension in their faces, like every grudge has etched itself into their skin. Bitterness doesn't just live in the soul, it bleeds into the body. It hardens the heart, contracts the spirit, and slowly steals the light from within. Most people don't even realize it's eating them alive. But you did. And that's what sets you apart. You had every reason to let it in. You were betrayed, abandoned, lied to, gaslit, torn down. And no one would have blamed you if you shut the world out and went cold. But you didn't. You refused. You made the quiet decision to protect your soul, not for them, but for you. Because somewhere deep inside, you knew carrying resentment would cost more than anything they ever did to you. You didn't want to become a walking wound. You didn't want to age into someone who smiles on the outside but silently seethes underneath. So you did the hardest thing a wounded soul can do: you let go. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. And that decision, it purified your spirit. And when the spirit is clean, the body reflects it. That's why you don't just look young, you look light. You're not carrying the weight of unspoken pain in your jaw, your eyes, your posture. You radiate peace, not because life was gentle, but because you refused to let life make you bitter. You chose not to marinate in pain. You chose to detox from darkness. You chose you. You learned the power of surrender. You learned to protect your frequency. You chose joy not because it was handed to you, but because you fought for it. And here's the part that stuns people: forgiveness doesn't look weak on you. It looks divine. They see it a quiet authority, a grounded presence that can't be faked, bought, or imitated. You didn't just survive betrayal. You transcended it. And now you wear peace like a crown. They don't know that your glow comes from spiritual discipline, that your peace came with a price, and that choosing not to be bitter was the most powerful anti-aging decision you ever made. Number 7, you've starved parasites. That's why you look so different now. You used to walk around tired for no reason, not just sleepy, drained, like your life force was being siphoned off in secret, and it was because you were surrounded by people who didn't come to love you. They came to feed off you. They needed your light, your attention, your empathy, your constant availability. They weren't trying to grow with you. They were trying to survive through you, and for a long time, you let them. Not out of weakness, but out of loyalty, out of heart. You thought it was love, but it was actually leakage, and then came the moment that changed everything. You cut the cord. When you finally said enough, your body felt it before your mind did. You slept deeper, your face softened, your glow came back because those energy parasites weren't just messing with your spirit. They were slowly draining your physical vitality. Your nervous system was always in overdrive, trying to sense their moods, fix their chaos, or walk on eggshells. That stress ages people fast. But when you detached, your whole system exhaled for the first time in years, and the result was undeniable: you started looking like yourself again. So not the version of you who was overextending, overgiving, and constantly rescuing people who had no intention of changing. Your skin looked clearer. Your eyes became sharper. You weren't surviving anymore, you were reclaiming, because when you stopped feeding everyone else's demons, you finally had the energy to nourish your own soul. That's why you look different now. That's why people are shocked when they see you. You're not being used anymore. Your energy is yours again, and it's showing the same people who once fed off. You are now wondering what happened, how you got so radiant, so rested, so magnetic. The truth: you didn't just change your circle, you closed the buffet. Number 8, you reclaimed your true identity, and your body followed. Living a lie doesn't just mess with your mind, it warps your entire being. For a long time, you were carrying identities that were never truly yours. The obedient child, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the fixer, the silent one, roles you were either forced into or thought you had to play just to survive. But those roles came at a cost. Your body knew something was off. It tensed up. It dimmed itself. It wore the weight of pretending, and even if you looked put together on the outside, something always felt off on the inside. Your reflection wasn't telling the whole story. That's because it wasn't you. Then something inside snapped or maybe clicked. You got tired of bending, tired of smiling through discomfort, tired of being palatable, digestible, safe, and little by little you started stripping off the layers. You questioned the scripts you were handed, you reclaimed your voice, your emotions, your sexuality, your culture, your truth. With every layer of false identity that fell away, something beautiful began to surface you and your body. It noticed your posture changed. Your walk changed, your face lit up with a kind of power that only comes from someone who knows who the hell they are. Your skin started reflecting alignment. Your voice carried more weight. Your presence shifted because you were no longer performing. You were embodying, and embodiment doesn't just look good, it radiates. That's why you look like someone who's been reborn, because in many ways you have been. You released the lie and your body released the burden. You stopped carrying shame that wasn't yours. You stopped contorting yourself to fit in, and now you look lighter, freer, fuller, not because you changed who you are, but because you finally returned to who you were always meant to be. And the glow that people keep talking about. That's not skincare. That's truth number 9. You walk through fire without smelling like smoke. People look at you now and wonder how you do it, how you walk with such ease, grace, and unshakable confidence despite everything you've been through. They know the stories, the battles, the fire you walk through, and yet when they look at you, they see nothing but light. No scars, no bitterness, no sign that you were ever touched by the flames. It doesn't add up in their minds. They expected you to be burned, marked, hardened, but instead you emerged with a radiance that makes them question everything they thought they knew about survival. What they don't understand is that you didn't just survive. You transcended. While others crumble under pressure, becoming bitter, and worn by the storms of life, you emerge whole. It wasn't luck, it wasn't coincidence. It was divine preservation. You were protected. The fire that others feared that others would have let consume them became the furnace that purified you, shaped you, and made you stronger. Every trial, every betrayal, every heartbreak was an opportunity for refinement, not destruction. The pain didn't destroy your spirit, it clarified it, and because you walked through the flames with your soul intact, with your integrity and peace still unshaken, you don't carry the residue that others do. No bitterness, no anger, no victimhood. Those are the things that clinging to people and age them faster than any wrinkle ever could. But you refused to let it stick. You didn't let the fire consume your essence. You let it burn away everything that wasn't truly you. Now you walk through the world unbothered, untouchable, and more radiant than ever, and while people are still trying to figure out how you emerge so untouched, you know the truth. The fire didn't ruin you. It was the very thing that prepared you to shine. Number 10, you were hidden for a season so you could age without corruption. While the world raced toward fame and validation, you were placed in a quiet cocoon, a space where no one could touch you, where your true essence could grow. Undisturbed. People couldn't see it, and they certainly didn't understand it. To them, you seemed invisible, irrelevant, even forgotten. But what they didn't realize was that you were being protected, shielded from the premature exposure that so many people fall victim to. While others were thrust into toxic relationships, fast-tracked to fame, or exposed to a world that chews up the unprepared, You were being carefully cultivated, like a rare plant in a hidden garden. That season of isolation wasn't punishment, it was divine protection. While the world moved at its chaotic pace, you were incubating. You weren't rushed, you weren't forced to conform to someone else's timeline. You were given space to mature, to evolve, to strengthen your foundation before you were put under the spotlight. And when you finally emerged from that cocoon, people were stunned. You didn't just look different, you looked untouched. You looked like someone who had been through the fire but had come out unscathed. What they don't know is that all those years of being hidden from the limelight, all those moments of being overlooked with the very thing that preserved your beauty, your mind, and your spirit, while others were already worn down by exposure, dealing with the weight of fame or unhealthy relationships, you were growing stronger, wiser, and more radiant in your seclusion. You didn't have to deal with the corruption that comes with early success, the disillusionment that ages people prematurely. You were given the time to evolve into your most powerful self without the distractions of the world. And now that you've re-emerged, they don't know how to process it. They don't know how you've come back stronger, younger, and more magnetic. The truth, you didn't age, you leveled up, and the protection you were given was the greatest gift of all. Now they're watching you confused as you show them exactly what real undisturbed growth looks like. Number 11, you disobeyed culture's rules and it preserved your essence. You could have followed the crowd. You could have given in to the pressure to chase youth, to stay in the race with everyone else, constantly trying to prove your worth through what you owned, how you looked, or who you hung out with, but you didn't. While society was obsessed with chasing moments of fleeting pleasure, shallow status, and constant distraction, you took a step back. You opted out of the hustle for external validation. The endless pursuit of the next trend, the artificial markers of success that only leave people drained and dissatisfied. You didn't worship youth the way the world told you to. You didn't let culture dictate your worth based on looks or fleeting moments of external recognition. You weren't at every party running with every trend seeking approval from empty circles. You weren't chasing the next best thing just because it was trendy. Instead, you chose to focus on what mattered. You invested your energy into things that nourished your soul, your growth, and your peace. You took time for real connection, real healing, and real moments that allowed you to evolve naturally. By stepping outside of the typical narrative, you preserve something deeper, your essence. While everyone else was running themselves ragged trying to keep up, you were quietly protecting your spirit. The world promised beauty but only delivered burnout. It promised freedom but led to exhaustion. You saw through that your rebellion wasn't against something as simple as fashion or fame. It was a rebellion against losing yourself. And that choice didn't just protect your time, it preserved your soul's freshness. Now, while others are worn out, caught up in cycles of comparison and shallow pursuits, you stand as a testament to the power of living outside of cultural expectations. You're fresh, you're whole. You're still grounded in your truth, and you don't look a day older than when you first made the decision to prioritize yourself over the noise. Your disobedience wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was your key to timelessness. Number 12. You aged with consciousness, not chronology. While many people focus on the outside chasing external markers of beauty, following trends, and looking for ways to stay young, you've been on an entirely different journey. You didn't age according to the calendar. You aged by choice, by awareness, by deliberate growth, while others were obsessed with staying in the same place, clinging to youth like a badge of honor. You let time work its magic in the most profound way. You allowed it to shape your spirit. Every year wasn't just another number for you. It was another layer of wisdom, another shift in consciousness. You didn't just accumulate years, you accumulated understanding. Each challenge you faced, every heartache, every lesson deepened you. Your growth wasn't linear. It wasn't about just surviving or enduring, it was about evolving. Each passing year brought more clarity, more peace, more self-awareness. You looked at life through a different lens. You didn't just go through the motions. You transformed with each experience, unlocking deeper layers of who you truly are. That's why you don't look like everyone else while your peers are aging based on the standard narrative, caught in the cycle of consumption, constantly seeking outside fixes for inside problems. You aged through ascension. You didn't just grow older. You grew wiser, more whole, and more connected to your true self. The depth you've gained is reflected in your energy, your presence, your vibration. People feel it when they're around you, that calm, that knowing, that sense of peace and confidence that comes from being in tune with your soul. And as a result, you don't just look young in the way society defines it. You look alive, vibrant, and radiant in a way that transcends the physical. The aging process that others fear and try to resist is something you've embraced because you've learned that real youthfulness comes from inside. It's a product of conscious living, not chronology, and that's why you stand out. Number 13, you don't look your age because you weren't allowed to live it for so many years. You were forced to live in a constant state of defense. You didn't have the luxury of living freely or recklessly like some. You were busy carrying the weight of others' needs, shielding yourself from harm, or trying to earn acceptance that was never truly yours to begin with. You were always playing catch-up, always in a state of survival, never given the space to breathe, to relax, to simply be. Time passed, yes, but you didn't get the chance to live it the way you were meant to. You weren't allowed the carefree moments that others had, the space to just grow and experience life without the burden of constant struggle. You didn't get to live like your peers, carefree and untethered. No. You were busy protecting yourself, holding others together, pushing through just to get by. And because of that, life didn't exactly take the shape you'd expected. It wasn't the free-flowing journey of joy and exploration. It was more like running a marathon with weights strapped to your body. But now God is returning what was stolen from you. Those years of lost joy, of freedom, of living authentically are coming back to you in ways that you never imagined. What others saw as time wasted or lost is now showing up on your face in the most radiant, effortless way. The years didn't show up as signs of regret or burden. They've arrived with clarity, peace, and vitality. The weight that you once carried, the toll it took on your body and soul, has transformed into a lightness, a beauty that only comes from being released from the past. Now that you've reclaimed yourself, now that you've stopped performing for survival and started living for you, the years are no longer a measure of hardship. They're a testimony to your resilience, your strength, and your rebirth. You don't look like someone who's been through the fire. You look like someone who has bloomed because of it. The energy, the joy, and the freedom that was once stolen from you are now shining through every part of you, and that's why you look ageless. The years that you couldn't live freely before have now returned as a radiant gift. Number 14, your body is reflecting a soul that has no expiration date. You've always known there was something deeper to you than what the eye could see. While the world fixates on age as a countdown, a gradual process of inevitable decay, you've been tapping into something far more profound, a timelessness that doesn't follow the rules of this physical realm. Your body doesn't reflect the usual patterns of aging because your soul doesn't operate on the same timeline. You've unlocked a connection to something eternal, something that exists beyond the physical limits of time and space. The truth is, your soul doesn't age. It doesn't wrinkle, sag, or fade. With the years, it only expands, grows, and deepens, evolving in ways that the world can't quite comprehend. That's why you don't look like your age. You're not defying time in the way people often think. You've transcended it. You've moved beyond its grasp and aligned yourself with a frequency that doesn't measure worth in years or appearances. The way you carry yourself, the energy you radiate, and the clarity in your eyes all reflect this spiritual truth. Time has no hold on you, and people feel it when they're around you. It's almost as if you are from a different dimension, untouched by the same forces that age and wear down others. You're not following the laws of physical decay. You've ascended to a level where those laws simply don't apply. What they perceive as a miracle is simply the natural result of your deep spiritual connection. Your soul's essence is undisturbed by the passage of time. That's why you don't look the way they expect you to. You've tapped into something that transcends the material world. Your body is just the vessel carrying an ageless, eternal spirit, and it shows. People can't quite figure it out because they're looking for the secret in the physical. When the truth is your radiance comes from the soul that is limitless, unchanging, and beyond time. In the end, what truly sets you apart isn't just the way you look. It's the depth, the wisdom, and the untold strength that emanates from your very being. Your timelessness is not an accident, nor is it a superficial victory against the march of years. It's a testament to the work you've done within yourself. The battles you fought, the truths you've uncovered, and the spiritual journey you've undertaken. While the world chases fleeting moments of external validation and attempts to hold on to youth, as if it's a treasure to be hoarded, you found something far greater, an ageless soul, a radiant energy that only grows more powerful with time. You've navigated the hardships, the challenges, and the isolation, and each experience has refined you. Rather than wearing you down, your beauty isn't just skin deep. It's the result of a life well lived, a spirit unbroken, and a heart that refuses to surrender to bitterness. What others see as your youthful glow is actually the reflection of your inner peace, is clarity, and you're unshakable. Understanding that life isn't about resisting time, it's about embracing its lessons and growing with it. So as they wonder how you've defied the laws of aging, know that the secret isn't in avoiding time, it's in transcending it. You've become a living, breathing example of what happens when you allow your soul to evolve. When you prioritize the nourishment of your spirit over the demands of the material world, and in doing so, you've unlocked the kind of beauty that doesn't fade, the kind that only deepens and shines brighter as the years go by. This is your truth. This is your gift, and the world may never fully understand it, but that's okay.